What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is another retro review um, for The Wire Season 1, Episode 10. We are almost done with Season 1, you guys. So we open up episode 10. We see Bubs sitting on a park bench, and he is just looking around. He is observing what's going on, and it's almost like he's sort of lost. And, you have to think about the fact that this man has probably spent most of his life figuring out his next hustle so he can get 10, 20, $30 to get high. And now that he's decided to go, to be clean and clean his act up, it's like, what do I do with my days now? And of course, that's just, the devil's playground. We see him later on reach out to the white guy from NA. I guess it's going to be his sponsor. And they get to talking and they get to sharing things with each other. And he tells Bubs his story. He said, he's HIV positive. He said he gave it to his wife. Thank God he didn't give it to his child, but, basically that was the end of that marriage. And he said he, pretty much pissed everything away, in his effort to get high. And then Bubs told him, his story a little bit. We find out Bubs has a child, and that, his sister's letting him kind of crash in the basement, but she really ain't comfortable with him being there, which of course he does understand. So they have a good, they have like a good conversation. And Bubs, we'll get to that later, but Bubs makes some decisions about what he kind of needs to do. Then we see Boxdale and Weebay and Stringer trying to figure out like what to do about Omar. And Avon is like, you know what, Stringer, you was right all along. We just need to kind of like, we need to lay low. Not lay low, but we need to tell him that we want a truce, because at this point, it's just getting to be too much. So he tells Weebay, look, put that out on the street that we want a truce, and when he get comfortable, we're going to get him. Then they talk about what happened after the game, about how the police were following Avon around. And, Stringer was like, listen, if they knew to follow you, then they got a name, and they got a face to go with that name. And they were just trying to figure out where you was going to lead them. And he, Avon is like, man, whatever, I ain't tripping. They going to come for me whenever they going to come for me. And Stringer was like, nah, but we about to build a wall around you. We about to shut this whole thing down. You already don't handle no drugs. You already don't handle this. At this point, I'm shutting down your pager. Nobody local will be able to get in touch with you. The only people that will be able to contact you is your New York Connect. That is it. And so you see, them kind of closing ranks even tighter around Avon now that they realize how much information the police actually are building on him. So then we see McNulty and we see the DA, Rhonda. We see them go to the judge to get another warrant, because now they figured out where the other phones are. Now they got to get warrants on those pay phones. And the judge was like, look, now the judge is getting irritated, and he's real short with McNulty, and he's like, what's going on? You want another warrant for another phone for another 30 days. And McNulty was like, hold up, like, where's this coming from? Like, last month when, the deputy wanted to shut everything down, you was pushing back. So what's going on now? Well, come to find out, he's up for re-election, and basically they treating him like he got the plague, because of course, again, like Freeman told them, when you start following the money, there's a problem. And so now this has gotten, it's gotten political. And of course now McNulty is like, well, damn, because Rhonda told him, he was like, well, why wouldn't he be on the ticket? Rhonda was like, maybe it's the company that he keeps. So, we see D and his baby mama, which I guess they still together. I mean, he had like a whole woman moving in with him, but I guess him and baby mama still together, and she is fussing, and she's talking about how she needs money for this, and she needs money for that, and the baby needs this, and the baby needs that, and they need to get a bigger place, and they need to do this and do that, and his apartment was cool when he was a bachelor, but now he needs something, so the baby can run around. I mean, and it's all white noise to him. It's like, you see that he is totally, he's checked out, he's irritated, he's really paying her no attention. He actually ends up walking out while she's still talking, and she was like, what the, like, I told you I needed money for a new bed, like, what are you doing? And later on in the episode, we see him go down to Orlando's, and he tries to, talk to old girl, and she won't talk to him. She's still working at Orlando's though, but she will not give him the time of day. She's not here for it, okay? Um, she just don't want no parts of that. So down in the boiler room, we see Freeman, we see Pastrami Sandwich, which I know y'all hate his nickname, but I like it, so that's going to be his nickname. We see Pastrami Sandwich, and we see, McNulty and the other detective. They're down there figuring out, they're putting, once again, they're putting more and more information together, and they're figuring out that they actually have picked up more than they think they have, and they're putting these breadcrumbs together, and they're figuring out when they re-up and who the main stash house is. And based on the payphone, they've figured out that the main stash house is somewhere out. Randallstown is like in the suburbs. It's like outside of Baltimore City. And so, they know they need to follow those breadcrumbs, and they know who the person is. Whenever they run out, they've been able to connect who they call, and like I said, where his payphone is. So now we'll see later on in the episode how they put all of that together. Mr. Orlando. Now, after Avon told him stay in his lane, after D, or at least in his mind, D burnt him. D did burn him, but poor D, he didn't even realize he was doing the whole thing. But he burnt him. He is still deciding he's gonna make this drug move. So we see him meeting up with the dude. We see him meeting up with the dude, and it ended up being the police child. So the police got him, they arrest him, and of course, listen, Orlando wasn't about that life. Orlando flipped in less than 5.2 seconds flat, okay? And he started giving them everything he had. But we're going to get back to Mr. Orlando because somebody recognized him when he got put down in lockup. Somebody recognized him and made a phone call. So we'll get back to him later, honey. In the meantime, and in between time, McNulty is looking for Wallace. Again, something else they got off the wire. They keep hearing them talking about Wallace, who was a part of setting up the whole crew situation, how he strung out. He got out the game, and basically he strung out, and everybody's worried about him, but they picked it up on the wire. So McNulty went to look for him to try to see if he could talk to him. Now, what I thought was very interesting was how McNulty know where to go. McNulty ended up going into that abandoned house that we saw a couple of episodes ago, where we saw them stringing up the electricity and all that stuff. And I'm like, now, how you know which house was his? But I guess McNulty just a good ass detective, honey. He tells he's not able to find Wallace, but he gets a couple of plainclothes cops to sit on the house with a picture of him, of Wallace, and says, listen, when you see him, bring him to me because he's important to a case of mine. And he ends up, of course they complaining, and they like, really, we just gonna sit here waiting for some old stick-up kid? Like, that's what we doing? But McNulty sweetens the pot. He gives him some good old crab cakes and some beer, honey, some local Baltimore treats, child. While all of this is going on, McNulty and oh my gosh, why her name just pop out my head just that quick? Kima. Whoo, thank you. McNulty and Kima end up meeting up with Omar. They're able to track Omar down, and Kima was like, what part of let us handle it did you miss? Like, we can't have you out there taking shots at Barksdale. Like, what the hell? Omar was like, okay, whatever. What's done is done. It is what it is. What you want me to do? He was like, listen, I need your help, because of course he shot and he couldn't go to the, a hospital. So, they gonna help get him all fixed up, get him some antibiotics, and probably get him sewed up and all that good stuff. But in the meantime, they're like, listen, there's certain information that we kind of need, So he agreed. He tells them about the truce. He said, they're trying to get word to me that they want a truce, and what we going, he was like, they were like, well, do you trust it? He said, I really don't know. Like, I don't know if they're real or if this is just, a setup. He was like, he said, but, at the same time, it is what it is. Like, I don't know whether to trust it or not. So they were like, listen, set up the meet and, we'll figure it out. So he ends up wearing a wire for the meat, right? He ends up wearing a wire. Prop Joe sets up the meat. Prop Joe gonna tell Omar, if you ever steal any of my product, I'm gonna kill your whole family. Like, don't even play with me. But we see him talking to Stringer Bell. Now he's wearing a wire, and he's slick with it, but he's trying to get Stringer Bell to say certain things on the wire. And of course, Stringer Bell smart enough not to say nothing. So it was really a bust. But what Omar did realize was that it was a setup. Omar was like, because he said, I'll take the truce, but I want to get paid too. Like, 10 G's will handle it. And Stringer Bell negotiated down to 5 G's. But Omar's not stupid. Omar was like, see, when they offered to pay me money, I knew it was too sweet. So Omar's actually leaving town. He's like, block is hot. I'm gonna get the hell out of here because I really need. I'm not at my 100%. Like, I got a bullet in. I'm still. I gotta get out of town for a while. So he did with a wire, but they weren't able to get nothing off of it. And Omar, for the time being, has left town. Now, while all of that was going on, like I said, Orlando was down to the police station singing like a bird. And at first, they didn't know who these people were, but what they did was they put the name in the system, and all of these hits came back, and that's when they realized, oh, wait a minute. We done hit pay dirt. Omar working for Barksdale, and he's doing this, and he's doing that. Well, the next thing you know, we have their attorney, the short white guy that's always their attorney showing up. He showed up, and he's trying to get Orlando to take everything out of his name, because of course the purpose of being a front for the drug dealer is that you got to be clean. You can't have no arrest, you can't have no record, you can't have nothing especially not dealing with drugs. And so Orlando was like, well, what you gonna do for me? I want to get out on bail. I want to do this, I want to do that. The attorney was like, so you want me to go back and tell Avon that you refuse to sign? Is that what we're doing now? And of course Orlando, was quick to sign those papers, but Avon is not going to have your back like he got his other people back, because you did the opposite of what Avon fucking told you to do. Okay? Anyway. But it doesn't matter. The damage is done. Orlando is giving them some names. Orlando is giving them important information. And now on the other side, what else they have? They done found Wallace. And McNulty done spent all night talking to Wallace. And Wallace is singing like a jaybird. And everything he's telling them is lining up to information that they already have. So listen, what we're starting to see is the net is starting to get tighter and tighter around Barksdale. There's certain, key elements that are falling into place. And it's becoming more and more of an issue for Barksdale. So they were able to piece together the timeline and figure out like the information that Wallace gave them about the night that Brandon was killed. It lines up perfectly to the phone calls. It lines, to what they have. Now, in the meantime, we have the other detective. I forget his name, but the other detective, he's hot on the trail of the main stash house, and he actually follows them out to the county. He finds the house. It's in a nice suburban neighborhood, but a few things stand out. One, it's got security cameras all around the house. Two, the windows have the bars on them and everything. It blends in, but it doesn't blend in if you know what you're looking for, kind of thing. And so they found the main stash house. So it's only a matter of time before they, again, the detective is like, let's kick the door down. Let's go. Let's get some warrants. But once again, Freeman is like, we are building a case. We don't want to give them too much information. So what they end up doing was, on trash day, they dress up like they the trash man, and they actually pick up the trash, because once you put it out there, it's public consumption. When they opened up the trash, honey, it was a plethora of all kinds of stuff to let you know that they are in there cutting up all kinds of drugs and packaging it up and everything. All of the remnants are in those trash bags. So they know, so again, they just keep adding stuff to their timeline. They add it to the timeline. Now, Wallace, he's agreed to testify, but they know they have to keep him safe, because they know they ain't going to hesitate to kill Wallace if they find out that he done snitched. So they're not going to put a 16-year-old up in a hotel room and all that other stuff. So they actually are able to find a family member. Wallace said his aunt or somebody that lived down by the Eastern Shore, and they actually take him down there. Poor baby didn't know what crickets were. We found out that his mom, didn't know who his dad was. His mom got strung out, and that's how he ended up basically said mama is in the wind. He don't know where his mother is, and that's basically how he ended up in the situation that he ended up in. But ultimately y'all know that thing had been weighing on him, and he was just ready to tell. So he didn't, everything he done told. And they tried to get him to flip on D, and he was like, nah, D been good to me. Like, so he wouldn't put D in it, because they were trying to say, well, wasn't D the one that, he was like, nah, D been good to me. So even in the midst of him, snitching, he still protected, or so far, he's still protecting, D'Angelo. In the meantime, McNulty's wife has, or I guess soon to be ex-wife, she has gotten an emergency hearing because she's trying to get full custody of the kids, because she done found out about them, playing the detective game and all that other stuff. Like, she just got it out for McNulty. So McNulty can't get a lawyer fast enough. So what he ends up doing is getting Rhonda, mind you, the woman he was having an affair with. He gets her to represent him in court, and the judge, the judge ain't here for it. She was like, listen, what you're asking me to do, Miss McNulty, that's a lot. You want me to take away this man's custody for no good reason. Like, what is the big deal? Basically that's what she was saying, was like, really, what is the big deal about what's going on? Like, he's not that bad of a damn dad. And she told, she asked Rhonda, she was like, do you have anything to say? Rhonda was like, McNulty is looking at her like, really? You don't have nothing to say? She said, listen, I don't even know why I'm here. Like, I'm a criminal attorney. I don't know nothing about family court. So the judge orders McNulty and his wife to go have a conversation. She was like, I really feel like y'all can resolve whatever this issue is. Basically, y'all go handle this shit and leave me out of it. So when they get to talking, she gonna ask him, are y'all still sleeping together? So she knows who Rhonda is. She knows Rhonda is the other woman. And I'm like, McNulty, the ways that you are an asshole just never seem to surprise me. And she asked him, she said, so are y'all still sleeping together? And at first, McNulty said no, but then I guess McNulty was like, fuck it. Yeah. So they do talk. But when it's all over said and done, child, listen, that's gonna be an ongoing battle, okay? But we just see how bad the situation between them has gotten. So meanwhile, down to Orlando's, old girl is trying to get her spy on. She was delivering drinks to Avon and the crew, and she's trying to listen to what they saying. And she picked up a few little odds and ends. She did get some information that she's gonna be able to take back, but she didn't really get a whole lot. She gotta be careful, make sure ain't nobody rolling up on her. You know what I'm saying? Then we see Kima out with the crew, with her girlfriends and with her wife, or girlfriend / wife. I'm not sure if they're actually married at that point. I don't remember. And you definitely can tell that the girlfriend does not like the fact that Kima's a cop, which we already know. And Kima's in school. Supposedly, she's in, I'm gonna say supposedly, she's in school. I think to go into law school or criminal justice, but whatever it is, to get out of being a cop. But, she ends up telling her story about, being a cop and what made her want to be a cop and all that. And the wife, you could tell by the look on the wife's face that she just is not happy about it. But, it's one of those moments where it's like, I love you anyway. You know what I mean? But you definitely see where she's uneasy and she's just not happy about the whole situation. So, in the meantime, Orlando, the state police is finally, they reaching out to the people down in the boiler room so they can make the connection. And they're trying to figure out, why is Orlando selling drugs? And they think they have this whole meeting where they have to try to figure out that, wait a minute, if Orlando is buying drugs through this other avenue, then this must not be through Barksdale's crew. And they realize that he can't really get them what they need, as far as with Barksdale. And they're back to that whole conversation about buy and bust versus the wire. And of course, Daniels gets called down, to the deputy's office once again to have to explain that the only way they're going to be able to get what they're looking for is if they can on the wire, build a case. And of course, the deputy is, he's impatient. He wants this thing shut down like 5 days ago. He was like, listen, when I sent you down there to get this done, buy and bust. That's all I wanted. I just wanted you to make a couple of arrests so we could get this whole thing and move on. You are really doing way too much. So, in the meantime and in between time, Kima is going to help Bubs get on his feet. He's been clean for 3 days and, he's really trying to get on his feet. She said, okay, I'll help you out. Give me a day or two, to help you get some stuff in order. So Bubs is, and he was honest. She was like, you mean it? He was like, I mean, I don't know. Like, today I mean it. I might get high tomorrow, But I could appreciate his honesty. Like, listen, I'm trying to make this thing work. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but that's what I'm trying to do. Now, Kima, they're going to have Orlando wear a wire, so they can make this buy. Kima's going to be posing as like his girlfriend or whatever, so they can try to get this buy together. And I guess they should try to get a bust, So Kima's undercover. She's with Orlando. They in his car, and the police are listening. All that good stuff that they do. They listening, they following, they trailing. But the whole thing from the beginning, Kima is like, this don't feel right. Something don't feel right. She trying to give them directions in a slick kind of way so they can stay on their trail, but they end up losing the car. They end up losing them because they don't know where they're going, and they end up in this alley. And Kima is able to give them enough direction so that they kind of know sort of where they are. They're in the area, but next thing you know, some dudes come out the bushes. They call them some snitches, and they shoot Orlando, and in the process, Kima gets shot. And so where we leave off is Kima laying on the ground with a bunch of blood. We don't know the situation with Kima. We don't know whether she's alive or she's dead. And of course, everybody is reacting because everybody loves Kima. You know what I mean? Everybody loves Kima. And so that's where we left off. And Orlando is dead. Like dead. So that's where we left off, y'all. We only have, I think it's only 12 episodes. So we got 2 more episodes before we get to the season finale, honey. You want to be here. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.